Hello teacher and classmate. Today I want to tell about a very important person for me. My hero is my grandfather. He passed away just a few years ago. This is a very sad time for my family and for me. The pain is very fresh. For this reason, I want to decide this speech to him. I want to remember the great man he was. Why is my grandfather special? Because everybody loved him and everybody respected him. He was a very good man and very kind and very strong. When I saw the project, I thought about him immediately. He is the perfect example of a real hero. Before I continue, I want to share a very special secret. My name is Hector Omar, and my grandfather chose this name for me. He suggested this name to my father. This name belonged to one of his younger brothers. His brother was a very loved, but he passed away. He was very young. In big family, including my uncles and my cousin, I am the only person with his name. I carry his brother's name, and that's a beautiful connection between my grandfather and me. These days, my house and my vineyards are very quiet. The atmosphere is very sad. My grandfather was a very famous and popular in the town, and this area is near here. All his neighbors remember him with the loving and respect. When people live near my house, they talk about my grandfather with affection. My family misses him every day, but speaking about his life makes me feel proud. He is not here with us psychically, but his memory is alive in our hearts. Now, I want to tell about his life history. My grandfather was born in Canuto, a small town in Manabi. He grew on the countryside. He lived in a very simple life. His family was very big. He was the third brother of 14 siblings. He worked on the land with his mother and his brother since he was a child. Let me tell you about his routine when he was young in Manabi. My grandfather and my uncles woke up very early, very single days, exactly at 5 o'clock in the morning. Their first activity was very special. They had to separate the goats and then the cows. Milk and cheese were a big part of their life, of their works. My grandfather did not go to school. He don't know study because he had to work from a very young age. To work on the land, he used simple tools. He always carried his machete or shovel or a hoe. He worked very hard under the sun. His life was not easy. When he was young, around 20 years old, he had many problems with his family. There were very many difficulties, situations and arguments on his mother's side. This were slow at trouble and bad moments. These problems caused him a lot of sadness and stress. In fact, because of the family life, he suffered a permanent injury in his legs. Later in life, he loved horses and he wanted to ride them. But he could not do it because of that or problems in his leg. But my grandfather was different. He did not become a bad person. He chose to be a peaceful man. Also, my grandfather had many health problems and terrible sneaking in his life, especially at the end. But his was always very hard. He had a very strong spirit. He never stopped and always wanted to walk and move her, even when he was sick. About his personality, my grandfather was a quiet, calm man, but he also liked perfection. He worked in countryside his life. So he had a lot of experience. He knew how to do everything of the farm, and he liked his work to be perfect. He started with no money, but he was very smart for business. He didn't sometimes with break his small piece on the land his brother gave in Manabi. With that money is a lot of hard work. He bought his first farm here in Numancia, near Santo Domingo. He worked and worked. He bought more land later. He had a very farm for 120 or 130 hectares here. He also big farm on the 60 hectares in Esmeraldas. another small for 5 hectares in Buena Vista, and another farm or 70 hectares in Vallehermoso. My father told my fathers had between 3,000 or 4,000 cows. He always wanted to grow. On his big farm, he had help from other workers. He always waited later his horses' milk and 2 man horses arrived at the farm to collect it. But he don't seek to milk, he got a large part of my grandmother. He used the milk to make delicious traditional cheese. Also, my grandfather did not just have grass for the cows. He had all the plants, for example. He had a lot of cacao, a specialty, a cacao criollo and fino de aroma. He also cultivated a lot of rice. He planted the rice near the rivers and streams. I more areas because that is a perfect for rice. My grandfather always used the traditions and his brothers and his father for the cacao. First, the worker collected the fruit and made massive mountain with hundreds of cacao puts. The next day, they opened the fruits and collect the spiks, and they are in my house. Today, we don't that because it takes too much time, but my grandfather loved that traditional process. Also, my father tells me that planting and harvesting rice and milk was a very difficult and exhausting work. But my grandfather did it with a lot of energy. Regarding our social life, my grandfather did not like big parties. He preferred to stay at home with his family, but sometimes he went for a short time to meet his friends. They liked to play cards, talk and relax. He did not drink alcohol or other. Very rarely he smoked just one cigarette with his family, and that was all. He was a very quiet man. But this most important thing is that he was very generous. He helped everyone and did not want anything in return. For example, he gave fresh meal of the neighbors. When a cow died by accidents, he called the neighbors and gave them meat. He also helped his worker. He got 1 hectare and land to one worker, so the man could build a house for family, another beautiful action. What the case of speech plan to build the school in my village. My father is an uncle actually studied the primary school there. To go to that school, they had to walk about a kilometer and cross the river foot. The school is closing now, but the people still use that place for sports and community meetings. Now, I want to tell about my connection with him. My grandfather inspired me every day. His hard work and his motivation help me now that I am at university. He makes me want to study more and do my best. When I was a child, I remember working in the farm in Numancia and watching him work. He looking so calm and confident. He always had plans for the animals and the plants. When I look at those big fields today, I feel a connection with his energy and his dedication. I always remember his final day. He was very sick and in a pain, but when asked him, "How do you feel?" he always smiles and says, "I'm excellent, I feel very well." That's incredible for me. When I was younger, I thought I was strong, but sometimes I become fragile and I want to get up easily when I have problems. But when I remember my grandfather smiling and fighting when he sneaks, I change my mind. He teaches me better to be strong and to have a positive. I learning many lessons from me. I also from my father because my father learning the fears from my grandfather. I learned to work hard, to help other people, and to be good neighbors. He always gave good advice to his children and his grandchildren. To finish my speech, I want to answer the questions: what do you need a hero like my father? I think all humans need inspiration. If we don't have a good experience, we can stay in the same place. I want to try to improve. A hero like my grandfather with the good values and the good prayers. Show us how to be better. He inspired us to be kind to our neighbors, to work hard our dreams, or to be strong in the bad moments. A hero helps us to become better version of ourselves. Thank you very much.